ありがとうございました。こんにちは。Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and thank you for having me. A few years ago, I met with Tomo, and I talked to him and Tomo and Asuka many, many times. And at the beginning, it was for me just like, meeting with another guest, another curious person from the world, often come to me, to my office in Yangon, or call me or mail me to learn about the issue, to learn about the situations in Myanmar. And I just thought that, it was just like another person who is curious. And over time, I talked to them again and again. Now I'm here today as an Impact Hero 2019. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, the art company, Tomo Asuka, and all of you. It's my honor to be part of the journey of all of your amazing work as art company and all of this incredible Impact Hero. As the Tomo and Asuka asked us to talk about our life story, I'm gonna start with my life story soon. So, my father was a school teacher. He studied economy and education in Yangon University. He could be a businessman or pursue a beautiful life in the capital city, Yangon, in Myanmar. But he loved his motherland, which is Rakhine state, and he really wants to be close to his mother who lives in Rakhine. And he went back home in his 20s and he became a school teacher there. It was basically because first he wants to be closer to his mother and he wants to lift his society and the state, which is very poor and discriminated by the state. Especially my community, my father's community, the Rohingya, have been subjected to many forms of discriminations since 1960s, 70s, 80s. Yeah, so he started his career there by being a teacher, and later he became a politician. After a few decades of military government, we had a first elections in 1990s. So he ran in the elections and he became elected parliamentarian, but the government didn't transfer the power to the winning parties, so we never had a government. After that, I was 5 years old. About 30 strangers came to my house. They all are uniformed and gunned. And they took my father away. Before he was leaving, he holds my hand. He said, "I will come back, don't worry." And I still remember that he was waving his hand from the back of the truck that he was brought to the prison. Luckily, he come back after 1 month. Like many other Rohingyas, he has to take a decision to leave his motherland, which he never wanted to leave. So he moved back to Yangon, and later he brought us, the whole family, to Yangon. And it was just my father's history, but it's the same for hundreds of thousands of Rohingyas today all over the world, including those who are in Japan. And many of them joined today. I'm very thankful, and thanks for joining me again. But we were luckier when, I grew up in Yangon, and I have ordinary child life. I went to the school with just like other Burmese. I was just like a regular Burmese girl, and although my mother language was the Rohingya, my first language became Burmese. So I speak fluent Burmese. I act like Burmese, and I thought I was a Burmese, although I knew I was a Rohingya. But it doesn't last long. After about 10 years, I was a college student. Yeah, 18 years old, law student. with the hope that one day I become a judge and I will fight for justice and I will bring justice for those who suffer. But all of my dreams has broken because of them. They came back and they took my father away, and 2 months later, they took the rest of the family members, including me, and they sent us to the prison. When they arrest my father's, like 2 months earlier than us, we thought it was because of his political involvement, being political allies to current, in those days, democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi. We thought that they will only harm him because he is a political activist. But in reality, it was not just simple. They took the rest of the family because we are Rohingya. And only that time I realized my identity is very important. So we were arrested as family while other politicians were arrested for their own only individuals. And it's changed my entire thought and my entire thinking. The whole time I thought who I am was. My father was sentenced to 47 years, and the rest of the family members, we were sentenced to 17 years. We didn't have a fair trial, we didn't have legal counsel, lawyer, or we didn't have open trial. We were trialed in a closed trial within the prison within 2 months without having lawyers. Our appeal was rejected. What happened to me was injustice. And I realized I questioned many things, why it's happened to me. Am I really a bad person? Am I a criminal? Because when we were young, we were told that only bad people go to the prison. And this prison, the notorious, one of the most notorious prison in Asia or even in the world, which was a colonial building. It was horrible conditions. It's undescribable. You cannot imagine what does it look like. If I talk all about this, I can talk about it for months. But the worst part of being in prison was losing my hope and my dream. But at the same time, I met many young women in the prison. And many of them were in prison for little crimes or unjustly. And many of them doesn't even have a home or dream. Yeah, at the beginning, I thought I was the most miserable. But when I realized their struggle and the system as a whole, I felt I was lucky one. I'm lucky enough to know what I want to be and who I want to be and who I am. But many doesn't. So since then, I decided to bring hope for the others, to help people to have a dream or goals in life, like especially the youth, the young people. After 7 years of being in the prison, we were released in 2012 with the presidential amnesty. Yes, it was with the presidential amnesty, we have a political change. The military has conducted second round of elections, and of course they said they are trying to change. Yes, we have some changes now. And when we were released, we were, the pardon was for the reason that all political prisoners will get involved, will be able to involve in countries' political transitions, and we can transform a democratic country. But the situations it has actually been very different for me. What I was expecting and what happened, what is happening now. Yeah, since 2012, my communities and other communities were targeted by the military, Burmese military. There was a facilitated conflict between Buddhists and Muslims between my community and the other community in Rakhine State. In 2012, about 250,000 people have to leave the country and become refugees, and about 150,000 become internally displaced persons. The military has imposed many other restrictions and persecutions against the populations. In 2017, they launched an operation called clearance operations against the Rohingya by saying that some Rohingyas attacked the military posts. In fact, it was clearance operations against the people, not against those who fight them. So more than 800,000 had to flee within 2 months of August 2017 to September 2017. We still don't know the number of people who have been killed and disappeared. According to the UN fact-finding missions, there were mass rapes against the women. The women have been specifically targeted, subjected for gang rape and sexual exploitation. Children, babies were taken from their mothers and killed in front of them. And husbands and mothers, fathers were killed in front of their wife while wives are being raped. Those who have taken weeks and months to cross the border survive in the Bangladesh now. Majority of them are female, women, and children. And this is a man-made disaster. And this should never happen from the first place. And this was a preventable man-made disaster. The persecutions of Rohingya was not a new thing. The persecution, discrimination was there for decades, and many of us, have been advocating to end all this systemic discrimination. Our leaders and our people around the world, especially those who have power to make change, walk away and did not take actions to stop these atrocities. So this is not just mountains of people. This is individual, just like you, fathers, brothers, sisters, and they all have lives. And they lost everything they have, their house, their properties, their everything, their loved one, and their land, and finally their dignity. And this has happened because of the man-made creation. Man creation, and we can change it with our power and with our effort. If they can make these situations, why don't we can change it? We just need effort, commitment, and support. There are many people I know trying to change, but I would like to show my way of changing things. So my approach is two approach. It's bottom up and top down. Bottom up means we need to empower the communities. We need to give agencies to the people. We need to create space and access for them. So what we do is basically we provide trainings, vocational trainings to the civic and political education for the youth in Burma. We bring young people together so that they can share, they can be together and they can share among each other. They can build trust, mutual understanding, and relationship. Once they become leaders, they don't become enemy. At least they know each other. We also do community advocacy mobilizations among different communities, like different ethnic groups. We reach out to others and we shared our opinion and our find common solutions, and we come up with the solutions together. My role is to be a bridge. Living in Yangon and being a daughter of politicians, I have privilege to know many other political leaders and civic leaders. Many of them may be prejudiced against you, but it is our responsibility to reach them and to try to connect. So I'm here talking about only the work in Yangon, but majority of the Rohingyas lives in Rakhine or in Bangladesh. What do we do? One of the ways that it is extremely difficult to access to those areas. So yet we need to find innovative way to support. So we try to support in, at least my passion is, I believe if we provide education to individuals and they become powerful, empowered, and they become powerful and they're free and they can advocate for the rest people. So my approach is providing education. So in Rakhine State, in government schools, in many places, the Rohingya children are not access to the schooling. But in some places, there are some basic school where, you know, the government school exists. But even in those places, the school teachers doesn't come and teach. So we provide support for the private teachers to be able to teach the Rohingya student. In the camps, we are creating this home-based education system for the females in the camps. So we provide trainings to the females, educated females, to become teachers so that they can teach other females in their home by avoiding unnecessary risks. And we also provide the trainings for the young leaders to become more effective and more to be able to utilize their skills and knowledge for the communities. Our work is very small right now because of the many restrictions and other difficulties. So I'm just showing this as an example of way to support. And we're trying to create online educations and scholarship programs for the Rohingya youth in different parts of the country in Myanmar and other outside beyond. This is what we mean by lifting the community, empowering the community, so that the solution can be last. When they are empowered, they can become their own leaders and their own change. There are many humanitarian NGOs, agencies and international organizations. Majority of them focus on the service providing. And this is essential, very important. However, the services will not remain for long. When the donations ends, the community will left with nothing. That's why we need to find a way to provide skill-based education for the communities, those who are marginalized and victims of genocide or ethnic cleansing. So we, as I said, the top-down solutions, what does that mean by that is it's not enough to do the bottom-up, the community solutions, community-based solutions, but also we need to change the current condition, current situations, current policies. We need to basically bring justice and accountability for them, those who lost everything. And we need to bring dignity and rights for them. So we do document human rights violations, and we produce the internal briefer for the human rights conditions to the stakeholders, and we do advocacy nationally and internationally, within the country with whoever we can, and outside of the country with UN, in the UN, and with the governments like this. Those are the immediate action that we need to take. My visions is basically, we talk about civilization, we talk about sustainable development, we talk about peace in the world, but we are leaving behind the most marginalized and the most persecuted. So my vision is to make sure the most marginalized are heard and have agencies and being included. The most important thing is bringing justice for the victims of genocide and making sure their rights are restored, their citizenship and their freedoms are restored, and they are able to go back to home, their home, Burma or Rakhine. And we can do this if all of us take actions, do awareness, take action, support. And support, what I mean by that is supporting the communities directly. And I appreciate whoever work with the community directly, and the art company working with the communities directly. And it's the most important thing and the most important way to address the situation. And we can change that status quo with all of your support. Thank you very much.